Have you ever imagined your life without social media? Have you ever thought about the amount of time you spend on different platforms? Have you ever wondered how many people get influenced by what they consume on social media? There's no doubt that in today's day and age, social media has played a huge role in shaping the way we think and gradually the way we act.
The villains in society are able to use social media very effectively to push their narrative, which gullible people, for the sake of being politically right, are lapping up very happily.
On the 4th of May 2020, the life of one family in upscale Gurgaon came to a screeching halt. A 17-year-old boy Manav plunged to his death after a post by a teenage girl alleging he raped her over 2 years ago went viral. Although in her post, the girl added a disclaimer saying, "I don't have any proof," people immediately connected Manav's story to the boys' locker room controversy, and he was declared a rapist. But at the same time, there were questions like, was it right to harass the boy? What if he was innocent? And that we'll never get to hear his version of events.
I think these kind of people, anybody who comes up with false cases, anybody who does something like this, I think they're causing tremendous damage to the society in general. It's not just to men, it is to women also. Because what happens is, every time a false case comes up, if somebody realizes that a girl has accused a guy without him being guilty, we are doing tremendous harm to the cause of women who are genuine victims, right? Because this, we have this inkling apprehension in our minds. What if it's not true? So I think this causes a lot of harm to everybody involved. And I would say that the women's organizations, the feminists, I would implore them to go after people who who actually file false cases, because that is causing more harm to them than even to the men, I think.
A common thread seems to be the lack of empathy or even sympathy, because for some reason the idea of the male as a victim seems incongruous.
I think you've nailed it with that one sentence, that the idea of a male as a victim seems incongruous. Somehow we are conditioned in our minds to believe that men are culprits and women are victims, right? I'm not saying that men are never culprits. I'm not even saying that women do not become victims to patriarchal systems or they're safe. I'm not saying that at all. But the fact is that if we take any variable and we plot it on, a graph, whether it's goodness or it's badness or it's having a conscience or having criminal tendencies or whatever, eventually what comes out is a normal curve. So there are good women, there are average women, and there are women, who are not so good. There are nice, conscientious, respectful men, there are average men, and there are men with criminal tendencies. So it's any variable is normally distributed along both genders. So how can you just typecast men as culprits and women as victims? And this starts from homes, this starts from schools. Another example that I'd like to give you is, there is a school in Delhi it's a pre-nursery school, which goes by the name of Brats and Cuties. Okay. Parents very happily send, it's a very famous and it's a well sought after pre-nursery school. Now parents very happily send their kids to that school. The name itself is very suggestive and it's branding the genders. So a boy believes that he's supposed to be a brat. Are we surprised if he behaves like a brat when he grows up? Why are we branding him? And a girl believes that she's supposed to be a cutie. I don't even take to that. So let's stop branding the children. Let's stop slotting them. Let them be.
But because Indian men are supposed to be mards, is there a pressure from the society on them to take things in their stride and not complain openly?
So I don't subscribe to this theory of mard ko dard nahi hota. Okay, as far as my belief system goes, I think anybody who has a nervous system experiences pain, and anybody who has a limbic system will experience emotions, right? So I don't subscribe to this theory of mard ko dard nahi hota at all. Now here, let me ask you a question. There's a statement, there's a phrase I hear pretty often. It says, a girl, a lady would say with a lot of pride that I'm Papa ki pari. I'm sure you've heard it also, right? So Papa ki pari is something to be proud about. Take it to the other side. Have you ever seen anybody call a man a mama's boy with pride? Or is it considered something derogatory? And if it is considered something derogatory, then why is it considered derogatory? I think we need to look into this. So we are denying a man a bond with his family, and then we're expecting him to be sensitive. How is that going to happen? It's irrational. Our entire thought process is irrational. So earlier you tell him that, when a lady says no, she means yes or she means maybe. And then you say no means no. He can't fathom what you're trying to do. And that's why many men in today's time are not able to understand the concept of consent. So I think it's not just sex education, but I think an overall attitudinal change is required.